What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Kayfabe Central podcast and episode 2 of the headlines of the week, where we go over weekly show recaps. I'll go through any major things that happen on the weekly shows and any major headlines in professional wrestling throughout this past week. So, we don't have a whole ton of stuff. I was looking through as much as I could, and I was like, we might not have a lot of stuff for the headlines this week. And then as the week progressed, we got a little more stuff. So we do have a little bit. It's not a whole lot, but we're gonna get into a few things, and like some things that I have here aren't that important, and it's not very um significant. So we're gonna get those out of the way first. But before we get into that little self promo, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you're up to date with all the videos and podcasts. If I sound tired, it's because I woke up like an hour ago. It's currently 12:23 p.m. and I was supposed to wake up at like 9:30 to get my day started properly because I have a pretty hectic day today. Um, I'm not covering SmackDown tonight because I will be sitting down with, I guess I can announce it now, Alexia Nicole. Um, I will be interviewing her, and that's going to be happening during SmackDown. So won't be able to cover SmackDown, but I am probably going to rewatch it tomorrow morning or something like that, since we're supposed to have company over tonight and all that good stuff. So excuse my voice. I now have the sniffles for whatever reason. I let out a pretty couple loud sneezes, so hopefully that doesn't mess with the podcast too much, and hopefully I don't get sick because being sick during WrestleMania week coming up would be pretty annoying. And WrestleMania week's going to be a busy week next week. I think every single day of that week we have something. So I'm really just gonna take this weekend to decompress and just reset my mind a little bit because it's been a lot of wrestling. So let's get into this headlines of the week thing here, man. So we're gonna start off with WWE has filed a trademark for Snackdown. I forgot to turn my ringer off. Um, WWE has filed a trademark for Snackdown. Um, I don't know too much about this. I think people were thinking it's a restaurant. From what I've heard, it's a collaboration with Drumstick. And for those of you that don't know, Drumstick is like a ice cream company. They make like ice cream bars and you know ice cream cones and all that stuff. Um, so it's a partnership with Drumstick, and I don't know exactly what they're going with here. I don't think Drumstick makes anything other than ice cream bars and ice cream cones and stuff like that. I could be wrong, but yeah, that's what this trademark is for. And if it's a WWE related thing and like a WWE related snack and it looks good, then I might try it. I'll probably do a video of it or do it on my TikTok. But if it doesn't look good, I'm probably not going to try it. So that's if I can find it, because you know how things like that are when they first come out. You can never find them, and then you gotta wait like a month, 2 months to like actually get it. And plus, I live in Canada, so we get things later a lot of the time. So, um, yeah. So hopefully, uh, we'll get more information about that. A little another side thing that I don't want to dive too much into, but still in the WWE realm of things. Linda McMahon doesn't know what AI is, and she called it A1. Um, I'm not gonna dive too much into politics here. I just don't know why certain people vote for people like this. Like I mean, people like this just shouldn't be in the position that she's in any sort of position of authority. So yeah, we're gonna leave that alone. We're not gonna dive too much into politics. Let's talk about SmackDown a little bit because I haven't got to talk about SmackDown since I record these on Friday. So, wow, the voice cracks are insane today. Um, I might actually be getting sick. So, we're gonna start this off with something I don't like talking about because of the how sad it is and how just devastating it is, and it's a really it's a really shitty thing to talk about. And Kevin Owens is injured, and he came out on SmackDown and said he's been dealing with a neck injury, and now found out that it requires surgery, pulling him from WrestleMania. And this sucks because I am a huge Kevin Owens fan, and to see him go out like that, and especially with a neck injury. Obviously, we've seen people come back from neck injuries. We had Edge, Ivar's come back from a neck injury. Um, but it could also be a case where it's like Big E, where I don't think we're ever going to see him back. And I hope that's not the case because I love Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens is one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. I have a picture with the guy on my wall above my TV in my room. So, a little bit of a mark out moment there. Um, but yeah, Kevin Owens is one of my favorite wrestlers, and it would honestly suck to if this was the final chapter of his career as a professional wrestler. There were a lot of people saying that if this is his last chapter, he had the best way to go out, which is a match with Sami Zayn in Canada. And honestly, like God forbid he can never come back, then yeah, that would be the perfect send off, and I think that would be um very cool to say that well, not very cool. Like it's not cool that he's injured, but if God forbid he weren't able to come back, it would be cool to say that his last match was against Sami Zayn in Canada. And personally, for me, it would be cool to say that I was there for that. So, um, yeah, there's that. Prayers for Kevin Owens. I hope he gets better as soon as he can. Wishing a speedy recovery for him. But now that leaves Randy Orton without a WrestleMania opponent. So I don't know where they're gonna go. There's been talk about it potentially being Nick Aldis, since Randy gave him an RKO on SmackDown. He's given him an RKO before. It could lead into, Nick Aldis saying, yes, I'm a general manager, but sometimes you got to roll up your sleeves and you got to put your foot down, put someone in their place when they really need to be put in their place. Um, there's been other talks of it, like him doing an open challenge and it being like a Malachi Black or Aleister Black or Miro slash Rusev. So, I mean, you could go that route, but I honestly, personally think that the most interesting and best route would be Nick Aldis here. And I think I would be very interested in seeing that because um, it'd be cool to see Nick Aldis have his first match in WWE. And not only that, imagine his first match in WWE being at WrestleMania. That would be pretty cool. So I think that is definitely a possibility. And I think yeah, I think that's the best route for them to go. If not, the second best route is the open challenge route at WrestleMania, and it's answered by a Aleister Black or Rusev. So, yeah, we have a few other things on SmackDown. We have the Motor City Machine Guns versus Street Profits on the SmackDown before WrestleMania. So next week, which this match should be on WrestleMania in my opinion. This should be a WrestleMania match. You should have these tag titles on WrestleMania since, you've built up months of this tag division and really focused heavily on this tag division. This should be on WrestleMania. and something that shouldn't be on WrestleMania. And by the way, we still have no announcement for the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, which one I think should be on the pre-show. And speaking of the pre-show, I know I keep getting sidetracked here, but speaking of the pre-show, we have two 3-hour pre-shows for WrestleMania on both nights. 3-hour pre-show of just talking. Now, this is why we need matches on the pre-show, because why do we need a 3-hour pre-show for both nights where they're just going to be talking about the matches for that particular night? So I don't really understand the mindset in going there, but it is what it is. It's WWE. There's gonna be a whole lot of ads and WrestleMania. It's gonna be so exhausting. We have a Gauntlet Women's Tag match tonight on SmackDown, where the winner will determine the number one contender for the Women's Tag Team Championships, currently held by Liv Morgan and Raquel um Rodriguez. I almost called her Gonzalez. Um the and like when I look at this gauntlet, I don't see anybody that really stands out to me and that I say that yeah, sure, this should be on WrestleMania. And by the way, like all these women in the gauntlet are talented. They just have no momentum with them right now. So it's not just a talent thing. There are talented women in this gauntlet, but none of them have momentum. Like Kaden Carter and Katana Chance, talented, very talented, but you can't tell me that they have any momentum currently for them to challenge for the tag titles at WrestleMania. Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark, PFC, they have no momentum either. They really haven't done much together. The most they've done was like in the Royal Rumble, they had a good showing, and like even when they had Sonya Deville with them, there wasn't much that they did. B-Fab and Meat Shin just makes no sense at all. Um, Maxine Dupree and Natalia, just got announced as a tag team, so there's like no momentum there for them as a tag team. Um, the only two I can see winning this is the Secret Hervis, which is Alba Fire and Piper Niven, or Bailey and Lyra Valkyria. And again, neither of these are like ideal to me for a WrestleMania match. And speaking of Lyra, it doesn't look like we're going to have either women's mid card championships defended at WrestleMania. And um, I'll get into this a little bit later, but we have two people who I think should be on the WrestleMania card, not on the WrestleMania card. Um, we have Chelsea Green not on the WrestleMania card, and we have Solo Sikoa not on the WrestleMania card. And I think it's absolutely criminal that Solo Sikoa is missing WrestleMania this year. Um, so yeah, that's very unfortunate. But I think with this gauntlet match, it's going to end up being Bailey and like Lyra Valkyria. I said last week that I think that's the route they're gonna go for these tag titles. Doesn't mean I'm a fan of it. Doesn't mean that this should be the match. But they're gonna do what they gotta do, and all four women are talented. I'm glad Liv Morgan is on the WrestleMania card, but I think they could have gone with something better. Um, what else do we have? We have yeah, nothing else really happened on SmackDown. So we're gonna move to Monday Night Raw. We have announcements for a couple WrestleMania matches. We saw this coming: a fatal four-way for the Intercontinental title between Braun Breaker, Penta, Dominic Mysterio, and Finn Balor, announced for WrestleMania. Been a good feud. That was a cool spear from Braun Breaker on Monday Night Raw that he delivered to Carlito. If you haven't seen that yet, I highly suggest you um, go look that up. Go check that out. Very cool spear. Um, To nobody's surprise, a triple threat for the women's world title between Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, and Io Sky is officially announced. So that's that. Um, El Grande Americano versus Rey Mysterio um, was announced for WrestleMania. And again, this is a match that I don't think should be on WrestleMania. This is a match that I think could just be done on Monday Night Raw. So, yeah, the this WrestleMania card is not looking the greatest, and this is a match that they could have just done on Raw. Karrion Cross interrupted AJ Styles. We know where that's heading. Tony Hinchcliffe was on commentary. I can't stand that guy, so we're not going to talk about him. Um, the New Day beat the War Raiders by disqualification, which just drags out this feud and drags out the New Day winning, which I think that this match is going to end up being on WrestleMania, which again, not a WrestleMania caliber match in my opinion. And I love the New Day. The New Day is very talented, and the War Raiders are really cool. But this is a match that I think could just be on Monday Night Raw and doesn't need to be on WrestleMania. Um, we had a very interesting segment with Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman, where Seth told Paul that now Paul owes him a favor. And after this, I was okay and interested with the idea of Seth Rollins potentially winning this triple threat at WrestleMania. I still think it's going to be CM Punk, but my mind could change for that. Moving on to NXT, we're just really flying through here. Sol Ruka and Izzy Dame qualified for the Women's North America title ladder match. Um, Stephanie Vaquer ended up choosing Jada Parker, Jordan Grace, and returning Julia to face at Stand and Deliver. And I don't see what the point in taking the title off Julia was if she wasn't injured and she was in the country the entire time and her visa issues weren't, you know, significant. I don't see the reason that they took the title off of her. Um, my computer keeps giving me like ads. Um, yeah, I don't see the reason why they took the title off of her, and I think that it is a high chance that she wins um the women's title back. I think that's a very high possibility. Or they could just have Stephanie Vaquer retain. I don't think that they're gonna have Jordan Grace win this in this type of manner, and I don't think there's any chance that Jada Parker wins the title here. And that's no shot at Jada Parker either. I love Jada Parker, but I don't think there's any chance that she wins the NXT Women's title here. Um, Swipe Right showed up on NXT. I haven't been paying too much attention to Evolve. That's where these guys are from. Just because there's so much wrestling. There's a lot of wrestling, and like I still do coverage for it when I can, but I really haven't been paying too much attention to it. Um, and plus, like I'm not really a huge fan of like the characters and the gimmicks on Evolve either. Like I know a guy there personally that I used to train with when I was doing professional wrestling in Jordan Oasis. So I'm happy to see him there and I'm happy for him. But as a wrestling analyst, I'm not hugely invested into Evolve right now. And plus with the amount of wrestling and then we have WrestleMania week next week, it's just a lot. Um so we do have a men's tag team gauntlet next week to determine the number one contender for the NXT Tag Team Championships, and which I think is going to be won by Hank and Tank. Which, if you haven't heard my opinion on the NXT Tag Division, I think it's pretty weak right now. I think that I don't know if Hank and Tank are ideal. to face Fraxium. But then again, when I look at the rest of the gauntlet, it's teams that Fraxium has defeated already, and I guess Hank and Tank would be the best option to go with here. Next week we have a fatal four way between Lex King, Wesley, Ethan Page, and Eddie Thorpe to determine the number one contender for Ricky Saints' North American title. Um, Probably going to be won by Ethan Page. They all had a segment, and then which led to a brawl on NXT this past week. Um, Ava Rain, or she just goes by as Ava now, has an idea for because we had a backstage segment with Jakara and Lash, the Meta Girls, Roxanne Perez, and Fatal Influence, Fallon Henley, um, Jasmine Nix, who lost her qualifying match, and uh, JC Jane. Jeez. JC and Fallon didn't have a qualifying match. Lash lost her qualifying match. Jakara didn't have one. Roxanne Perez lost her qualifying match. So apparently they were all backstage and they were wanting a second chance. But then Ava says she has an idea for this. I wasn't sure what they were gonna go with, but as I kept thinking about this, I was thinking that maybe they do a thing because there's two spots left in this ladder match. So if they do um like a 6 man or 6 woman tag, then that only gives like two like one spot. Oh, sorry, 3 spots. Sorry, my math's not mathing. Which there's only 2 spots left, so that wouldn't make sense. So what I'm thinking that they do here is probably 2 triple threats. I think there's going to be 2 triple threats here, and that's going to determine the final 2 members of the ladder match. Um, Hopefully Roxanne makes it onto the stand and deliver card. I think she definitely deserves to be on the stand and deliver card. But yeah, so that's everything for NXT. Let's move on to some AEW stuff here on Dynamite. Unfortunately, more injuries. Pac is injured, but doesn't look like he's going to be out for too long, so that's good. So hopefully he's back soon. Cope is out indefinitely. I don't know if it's to nurse an actual injury that he has or what the case may be. I haven't heard anything on that. Um, Hook was vomiting on Dynamite. So I don't know what's going on with that, if he's sick. But yeah, this whole thing with the Death Riders and the Ops, it's looking rough because Pac is injured and Hook is throwing up. I don't know if he's sick. So hopefully that they can go through with this they don't call it 6 man trios match because that's what they're aiming for. We had Joe, say that they're coming for the trios titles. If I don't know if they find a replacement for Pac or something like that, and same thing with Hook, but hopefully that they can just go through and both men are healthy. Um, we had a learning tree segment with Chris Jericho, Big Bill, and Brian Keith. Um, excuse me. Um, Chris Jericho is taking time off, which we found out is for the Fozzy tour, where he was just saying that he's disappointed in Big Bill and Brian Keith and started smashing the TV and started throwing a tantrum and whatnot. I thought this was just going to be a complete split of the learning tree, which I think will and should happen eventually. I think it's about time that they just split this group. Um, and I'm a fan of both Big Bill and Brian Keith. Um, so a few months ago, AEW filed a trademark for the term Paragon, and we found out on Dynamite that that is for the Undisputed Kingdom, the Undisputed Era, known in NXT. Um, because they're not with the Kingdom anymore, and Bobby Fish is not in AEW, so they're going with the Paragon. This sucks. They could have came up with a much better name. This is just so simple, and it's literally like I feel like they could have done so much better than to like I don't know, go on rhymezone.com or like the thesaurus and like type in like what's a cool word for being great, and they just went with Paragon. So yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of this. Um I don't like it at all, to be honest, but yeah, they could have came up with something better. The Don Callis family is seeking new recruits. Um, because he like Don Callis was saying that I have my two guys here, Kyle Fletcher and Konosuke Takeshita, but it doesn't seem like I can rely on Brian Cage, who's injured, and um uh wow, what's the other guy's name? Lance Archer. Um, so he's cutting them loose and he's looking for new recruits. Um, if Hammerstone doesn't go to WWE, I think he would be a perfect fit for the Don Callis family. I think he would be a good fit. I think someone like Jeff Cobb would have been a good fit for this. Daniel Garcia potentially um would be a good fit for this because I don't think they have a direction for him right now. So I think he would be good for this. Um you need muscle in this group. That's what you need for this. I don't want to see somebody like I don't know. I can't even like think of somebody like silly that they would put in, but someone like Brian Keith, right? Like it wouldn't make sense to put like someone like Brian Keith in this. I know he's in the learning tree or something like that, but something along those lines. Like potential members, I could see other potential members is like Dijak, Baron Corbin, who goes as oh, it's not even coming to me right now. He goes by something else right now. He doesn't go as Corbin. And like someone like Von Wagner would be a good fit for this. So, hopefully they go the right route and they add some muscle to this group because yeah, that's what this group really needs. Um, so that's all the headlines of the week. Like I said, not a whole lot of things to get into and not a whole lot of major things to get into, but I think the next time you're going to hear from me on the podcast is for my stand and deliver predictions, which I'm probably going to do either Tuesday night or Wednesday morning. And you'll have that out by sometime during Wednesday. Um, Maybe I'll go live for the stand and deliver predictions. I am not 100% sure yet, so I'm not going to make any promises. But yeah, so that's gonna be the next time you hear from me. Then we're gonna do my WrestleMania predictions probably on if the standard level predictions drop Tuesday night, then probably on Wednesday or maybe even Thursday, depending on how things go. So yeah, that's how this week is gonna turn out, and that is the headlines of the week in professional wrestling. Make sure you subscribe, like, and comment. Hit the notification bell so you're updated with all the videos. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time on the next podcast, which will most likely be the NXT Stand and Deliver predictions. Um, yeah, nothing else to get into. Make sure you follow all my social medias, which is always linked in the description below. And I will see you guys on the next one. Take it easy.